Rakshasas are mentioned in Mahabharata as well.
Right.
Same thing?
Same thing. Only thing is that they are very unlikely to come today directly.
Back when they mentioned Bakasur, who used to eat food as well as human beings, it was in a physical form.
In a physical form. And not some of the Asuras were not even physical also. It may have been at a time when, very ancient time of the Rishis. See, they used to come in the physical form when the human beings were of that caliber. Today, if an Asura were to incarnate, there's nobody will be able to stand. No human being has that capacity only. Yeah, and I'm talking about not just you, me. I'm talking about the people who are the best saints. Even they can't handle their power. They have such raw power. You can imagine the story of the Asuras when the Devi Mahatyam, if you read, which is a text of Ma Durga, and she's fighting Mahisasura. The battle goes on for 100 years. 100 years she's fighting.
Is this an astral battle?
Consider it an astral battle that happened before humans of this era populated. But Mahisasura had blessings from gods, so he became very, very powerful. And then the goddess had to incarnate to destroy.
What do you mean before humans of this era populated?
So what I mean to say is that so the society as we know it today. So it is possible that the time of the rishis were very ancient. I cannot say positively one way or the other, but in the sense, both in the physical features as well as their spiritual, physical, emotional stamina and strength and capacity was far more than ours. Okay. Also, the population was far less. I mean, if you look at the population of the world, we are at one of the peak times. There's been, I think, from mid-80s, because of certain advancements, population graph has gone just like this. Okay. Population graph goes like this. So there are own consequences of that. But we are talking of an era, and specifically this Mahisasura and all that perhaps would have happened at a time when only a selected few rishis were there. Not even the average people like this. Okay.
This is millions of years ago, possibly.
I don't know. I can't fix a timeline.
Okay.
But let's say that. But the good part is that suppose you are a great Upasaka, you can experience that battle even today of the great God. Oh, yes. The great Upasaka. I'm not saying an ordinary person. That's why we say that the activity of the gods are lila. Lila means it's a play. Even when they're destroying the Asura, they are creating an energy stamp so powerful that thousands of years, 6,000, 7,000 years ago, by remembering that story, you are getting spiritually benefited.
Very science fiction oriented question, but is it also a way of saying that very high levels of sadhana allow you to time travel?
Time travel in what sense?
Is there multiple senses?
No, I want to understand in what was in your mind when you said time travel.
X-axis, Y-axis, Z-axis, 3 dimensions. Time, 4th dimension.
Okay. So, time travel in the sense, physically time travel?
Yeah.
I don't think, I have no idea. Actually, I don't think that's possible.
Okay.
But knowing what happened at a very ancient time, accurate knowledge, even if you were not physically present, that is possible.
Okay.
It's very much possible.
Okay. Rakshasas in 2022.
I don't think, frankly, I don't think that there are any Rakshasas here, because I don't think that they have, so they will not incarnate in this plane. Their power is way too much. And Asuras are even more, but they don't incarnate in this plane like that. They're extremely powerful. Extremely, we cannot even imagine. They're like a god, just like a Devata, only in the negative sense. Okay. But they can influence people. Their influence is very much possible. They can influence the minds of people and do various things. And
from the plane they're sitting in.
Yeah. That they can do. In fact, some people believe, now I can't either vouch for it one way or the other. Some people believe that one of the things that Lord Krishna and Arjuna was that caliber Upasaka also. He was not just a fighter, he was a great practitioner. Arjuna, by the way. So they ensured that the Asuras do not get physically born, because they knew that the Kali Yuga people don't have the power to take that. So they ensured that the Asuras don't get physically born here, or the Rakshasas don't come here physically. But the influence cannot be stopped. So there is always a choice you have. You want to follow that influence or not?
Okay. There's a difference between the two, but Asura, Rakshasa.
Yeah, Asuras have a higher IQ. Let's put it this way. You cannot argue with an Asura also. You will tell him one scripture, he will tell you 10 scriptures. You will tell him one logic. He is a master of logic. He is a master of the intellect. He's a being who has exceptional intelligence. He's a being who has tremendous. But remember this thing: they are not atheists. They are not nastikas. They don't believe that there are gods. They fully know that there are gods, but they want to do their stuff. a Nastika, what I tell, a non-believer is at the lowest rung of the person. He's the one who denies reality, which is fine. I'm not even asking him to change what his ideas. But Asura is not one who does not believe in the divine and does not believe in the presence of the deities. He is a terrific upasaka, exceptional practitioner. He has got that powers and then he misuses his powers. He's fully aware of all the realms. He knows what is occult. He knows everything. He's equally confident and equally adept in the material rational world as he is in the spiritual realm.
How does he expect that he will escape karma?
I don't think they look at karma in the way we do, first
Okay.
of all, because the other thing is that they live in realms where time moves very slowly. Our realm, time moves the fastest, which means that Maya or an enveloping of the mind or attachment, let's put it this way, you get attached to something, it could be anything, etc. So this happens very often in our plane, but at the same time, progress can happen very well faster in this plane. In few lifetimes, you can progress. You can go down also few lifetimes.
Yeah.
But in those realms, time is very slow. So there, so in fact, some of the stories of the Asuras, like coming back to Mahishasura only, the Kalika Puran mentions that Mahishasura was incarnated 3 times. By the way, there's an interesting thing about Mahishasura. Says that Mahishasura was an Amsa, was a part of Lord Shiva. See the play of, that's how our culture looks at these Asuras. They say that when the great gods are involved, that is because at the immediate level there is a fight that is going on, but the impact of that is still going to be positive for the whole universe. So Shiva says that how do I show to the world the power of the goddess? So he incarnates, gives a blessing, a part of him, not fully. Little bit of energy, projection and emanations from Shiva gets born into the family of an Asura. He does tremendous tapasya because without that power of Shiva, he cannot do that kind of tapasya and gets blessings that he cannot be killed by a god, he cannot be killed by a human being, everything. He forgets, he mentions everything. Only thing he forgets is to add a woman. Okay. So that one thing is then used later on. 3 times he gets killed, not once, 3 times in 3 kalpas, 3 cycles of creation he gets killed by the goddess Durga. And in fact, there's a beautiful section where Mahishasura actually, before he's in the second kalpa, we call it the 3 kalpas of death. Second kalpa, when Durga manifests as Bhadrakali, and he's an upasaka, by the way. He's not, Asuras are not non-believers, by the way. They know the reality of these things. They know fully. So he knows in his meditation, he sees that he's going to die. And he sees that who this great power is, this goddess is. Okay. And he goes into rapture and bliss. And he tells the goddess that I don't want anything. Okay. I am completely your devotee. Okay? I know that this is meant to happen. I don't even want anything. I just want one blessing from you, that I should get offerings in the yagyas. So yagyas are done, Vedic yagyas are done for the gods. Okay, Asuras, you cannot give any offerings to them. So Ma Durga in the form of Bhadrakali, Bhadrakali, the Madhyama Kalpa we say, from which the Navaratri Upasana has come, by the way, all these stories. She says to him that I cannot do that, because if I do that, it will completely turn the balance of the world. Dharma will completely get rattled, because the yagya offerings can go only to the gods. He said, but I'll do something for you. I'll give you a blessing so that whenever there is Durga Upasana happening, it has to be shown in that posture where her leg is on the Mahishasura and she's killing him. And during the Durga Puja that actually happens in the mantras, one mantra is given to the Asura also. He says that by this act, you will remain immortal till the time there is Durga Upasana that happens among humans. And then what she does, she puts a veil on his mind so that he doesn't remember this conversation, so that he can fight with his full force. Because if he has this knowledge that he is who he is, he will not fight. He is meant to die. Okay. And then there is this whole battle that happens and she kills him. And that story till now is inspired Durga Upasana and Navratri and everything that we do. It's so beautiful. So that when you go to the Karan Jagat, all this good, bad, etc., all get balanced. Then there is no, in our dharma, there is no one single Satan, divine kuch nahi. Nothing.
Yeah. Wow. You know how young people say, I'm trying to build legacy in the world. Well, even Asuras say that.
Yes.
But I want to build legacy for time immemorial. And when we're celebrating Navratri with Dandiya sticks, some way you're remembering the Asura also.
As a devotee of the, and our second conception is that anybody who dies in the hands of the great gods is liberated, by the way. Whoever, in fact, not just in the case of this, we see in the case of the Shiva Purana, when Shiva is destroying Andhakasura, and Andhaka is one of the Asuras who was created. very powerful, etc., etc. And there's a lot of battle and beautiful description in the Shiva Purana, how Shiva's whole army is going with Shiva, okay, the Ganas and things like that, etc. At the last moment in the battle, he pins him in his Trishula and he lifts him up, okay. And Shiva at that time has become the energy of Bhairava, the fierce form there. And then in that condition, the Asura is begging to him, is saying that, Lord, I am your devotee, okay. And that state, then Shiva is kind. He says that, okay, you will become a devotee, you will become one of my Ganas, the people who are hanging out around Shiva. So that is a kind of liberation. That is a kind of mukti, of freedom.
Again, do you think that there could be possibly billionaires or world leaders who are being influenced by these?
I can't say one way or the other. I really can't say. There is a possibility. But one thing is there, wealth has a corrupting influence, huge amounts of wealth. Average amount of wealth is fine, but huge amounts of wealth extracts certain prices, whether it comes to health or something else or something like that. Wealth does have an asuric influence on it. And this is not my words, this is Sri Aurobindo's writings. Huge amounts of wealth, not ordinary wealth. Ordinary wealth is perfectly okay. But extreme amount of wealth, when it comes, there are always certain asuric influences that get tied with it.
What are asuric influences?
Asuras trying to influence the environment. For example, if you have huge amount of wealth, you may have to protect the wealth. You may have to end up doing certain things which are not normal or which you would normally not do. And there will be places where you will do something that is adharma, which is, incorrect, unrighteous, something. Negative things you'll have to do. The moment you do one, you are opening the gateway. So, there's a belief that huge amounts of wealth can also have certain amount of asuric influence.
Can it attract asuras?
Whether it attracts asuras or whether they go and find, maybe. I don't know exactly, but huge amount, obscene amount of wealth. I'm not talking about ordinary wealth. Okay, obscene amount of wealth does involve negative practices, and we negative practices means not talking about tantric practice and all that. I'm saying that some of the other negative karma is there that gets involved just to maintain that wealth as a protection. In fact, you'll see very interestingly that we worship Mahalakshmi for wealth, right? Mahalakshmi for wealth. So Lakshmi is not only wealth, she gives a sense of prosperity, of well-being inside, that happy space that you call about and using today's language. She is the one who controls it. So you may very well be a beggar in the road, but if you have that happiness inside, it is her blessing that gives you. Whereas there are beings who control wealth specifically, okay, very specifically, who are controllers of wealth, certain kinds of yakshas and all that. They guard those wealths very ferociously. You will have the wealth on the condition that you cannot have your peace of mind.
This is that deal with the devil thing that they speak
I don't know about that. I'm talking only from our perspective, because unless I study that properly, I can't do a comparison.
If you enjoyed this video, just know that we've got a bunch of curated playlists on this channel just for you. So you don't have to consume every single subject that we cover on TRS, but you do have to consume the playlists that you enjoy the most. That's what I nudge you towards.